All right. Hi, everyone. This video is going to work on the pelvic tilt series. The pelvic tilt series is one of the Pilates fundamental movement exercises, even before often the Pilates exercises are taught in a mat class and or reformer or any kind of Pilates class. I am going to use the ball when I demonstrate, but I'm also going to do it without the ball so you can see what it's like at home. Not everybody has one of these types of balls at home. So just really quickly, why would you do the pelvic tilt series? I've actually had a lot of clients who during this time are finding themselves sitting in their computer a lot, doing a lot of repetitive stress, walking, more taking the dog out, but mainly from lots of hours of sitting, not even realizing that we're doing it, kind of going from one task to another. And maybe when we get up, we don't really stretch, we don't really kind of get an opportunity to do the things that maybe we would have done in our normal day. So the pelvis becomes very, very stiff. And I'm going to stand up so you can't see my face, but kind of kneel up. The pelvis is really consisted of the two hip bones in the front, these upper hip bones here, the pubic bone, and then one of the bony landmarks is the back of that same hip bone. So you can kind of trace it with your fingers all the way back to the posterior side, the back side, and then wedged in between these hip bones is a sacrum, which is actually, it's called auricular shape. So it's ear shaped, right? And it's kind of got a point at your bottom, the tailbone. And up at the top, it's like the top of the triangle. It's a nice flat, long surface. And that's actually called the sacral base. The pelvis is here, right? So here's my hip bone. And the sacrum kind of wedges itself inside there. And it's intended to be a gliding joint. It's not intended to move all the time as one unit. Actually, it moves reciprocally. So what we want to do is make sure that that joint feels lubricated. And as we know, motion is lotion. So this exercise that we're going to do, very, very simple. First thing in the morning, kind of one of those roll out of bed and get down on the floor and do this exercise, because it's going to revitalize and rehydrate the area in your pelvis where kind of everything meets. The trunk meets down at the pelvis, right? The legs meet up at the pelvis. So the pelvis has a lot of load. So we're going to do the little pelvic tilt series and learn some vocabulary, which will help you then also notice your spine, your pelvis, and then hopefully the rest of your body. All right, so we're going to go ahead and lie back and get started. So, and again, these are great to be done first thing in the morning. I have clients who do these in the middle of the day. They bring a yoga mat to work, and they, back when we weren't working at home, and they would roll it out and do this pelvic tilt series at the end of the day. It's fantastic because those muscles get really tight and sore. So this kind of loosens and reestablishes healthy muscle tone and healthy muscle tension and relaxation, which the entire body needs that. All right. So we're going to think about the two hip bones and the pubic bone, right? So I've got my hands like this on my pelvis. And my bony landmark at the moment is going to be my pubic bone. And the other one is actually going to be kind of my breastbone, the bottom of my breastbone. So if I tip my pubic bone up to my breastbone, it makes me flatten my back. And it also presses the top of that sacrum, that sacral base, flat against the mat. And then I'm going to bring my pelvis back to neutral. Inhaling here, exhale, I'm going to arch my pubic bone towards my feet. So my intention isn't to lift my chest. My intention isn't even to arch my back. My intention is to move my pelvis forward, which then gently lifts the back. And again, you're not pushing through the neck and the shoulders and through the rib cage here. Okay, so just really keep that area soft. And then bring it back to neutral. So the vocabulary is a pelvic tilt, posterior tilt, so pubic bone going to head or pubic bone going to breastbone. Posterior tilt creates a flat back, and then through neutral, where you're not tucked or arched, and then an anterior tilt, where your pubic bone reaches for your feet. You may feel a gentle squeeze in your back musculature. If it pinches, don't go so far. If it just feels like a gentle little squeeze, like you're squeezing a sponge but nothing hurts, that's healthy, that's fine. And you're, again, kind of restoring the juice inside that joint by giving a little bit of motion and then bring it back to neutral. So again, vocabulary, posterior tilt, pubic bone curling towards my head. Some trainers also call this 12 o'clock because if I were the face of a clock, 12 o'clock would be my head, and then back through neutral, and then tipping my pubic bone to 6 o'clock, reaching all the way towards my feet, and then bring that back to neutral. And let's just do a couple more so it feels really smooth. And as you're getting going, at first it might be a little stiff. Your movements might be really minuscule, but then as you get going, you'll notice, oh yeah, it can go a little bit bigger without any discomfort or pain. All right, so now we're going to go side to side. And one thing I haven't yet mentioned, but is worth mentioning, is I want to make sure that my movements are coming not from my back muscles, but from the strength of the musculature that lives in my abdominal cavity. So I flatten my back, not by pushing into my feet or straining through my neck and back, but rather using my abdominals and curling my pubic bone and contracting the abdominals in the front. I'm not just going superficial, so it's not a crunch. It's those deep muscles, so I hope and find that hollow in the abdomen. That's what I'm hoping to find. That's what I'm looking for. And then I bring it back to neutral, okay? And then the same when I go that way. Believe it or not, your abdominals can facilitate that movement forward. Your back muscles assist that. It's like a muscle sandwich, right? You've got some muscles in the front, some muscles in the back, all working together, but you're not overdoing it with your back muscles. All right, so the side to side. Here we go. We're going to call my right hip 9 o'clock and my left hip 3 o'clock. So I'm going to tip my pelvis over to my right hip, my 9 o'clock. And as I do that, I'm going to, again, use my deep abdominals. These are more your internal obliques. The externals would move the ribs. The internals are the ones that move kind of from below the belly button. So I'm overly simplifying, but let's just say that. And I'm pressing my right side buttock and the right side of my sacrum against the mat, and then I bring that back to neutral. And then I press my left side against the mat, and I bring that back to neutral. And right side, and back to neutral, and the left side, and back to neutral. Exhaling as I think about stamping a stamp on a stamp pad. So if this is a stamp and the stamp pad is my mat, I'm pressing into my mat. And again, not working my back muscles, but feeling my abdominal muscles working. The back are gently supporting, but they are not overworking to create this gentle pelvic tilt over to the left side and bring it back to center. Okay, now we've got to go all the way around the clock or do an entire pelvic tilt going around in a circle. So I'm going to inhale to prepare. As I exhale, I flatten my back. It will even help me feel some length, and I'm using my abdominals in the front to contract. Then we're going to go over to my 3 o'clock, my left hip. Inhale, and as I exhale, I reach down to 6 o'clock, to my tailbone. And then I reach over to my right hip. Inhale, and exhale, and I curl my pelvis back to that flat back position. And then come to neutral. Pause in neutral and notice your body's neutral positioning. Neutral means that your pelvis is in that relatively flat plane and you have a tiny curvature in your low back off of the mat. It doesn't mean your ribs are arching, right? It means that your ribs can stay anchored and there's just a natural curvature back there. Now we're going to go around to the other side. So inhaling here, I'm going to move my arms out of the way so you can see. As I exhale, I curl and flatten my back. Then I'm going to tip my pelvis over to the right, reach down to my tailbone, using my abdominals, guiding me over to the left and back to center. So I would do these circles 3 to 5 going one way, whatever breathing pattern works well for you, and 3 to 5 going the other way. These feel really good. I just came off of a very short little bike ride, and this little stretching helps. It just eases the tension in my back. That bending forward keeps my back in one angle the whole time. So, and definitely pulling with those legs, right? Keeps the anterior hip muscles, those hip flexors working. So this helps to relax all that and restores balance back into that pelvic bowl. All right, and then the last variation, these feel the yummiest. These are always my favorite. I'm going to do a sits bone reach. So your sits bones are the bones that you sit on. You have one on the right side and one on the left side. You want to lengthen, so again, I'm going to move my hand, lengthen your right sits bone towards your right heel. So I'm not tilting, right, like I was when I was on the stamp pad. I'm rather sliding like a lazy Susan, as if I had a lazy Susan underneath me or a swivel board, and I'm just swiveling my right hip to my right buttock, and then I bring it back to center. And then left hip all the way down to left heel, stretching on that left side and bring it back to center. And stretching through the right side and bring it back to center. And left side reaching. And again, head and shoulders really soft, ribs are relaxed. And when you're new to this, the relaxing of the ribs is a big task. So it's something you need to keep reminding yourself of. One more going this way, and then come back to center. And then what I like to do is just stretch my thighs away from my pelvis. So I'm just literally applying pressure to the front of my thighs, right where my thigh meets my hip crease, and I reach and lengthen. I'm not arching, I'm not curling, I'm just getting space, and oh, it feels so good. And then release. Okay? So I hope that those were helpful for you. You can follow me on my page, on my Instagram page or my Facebook page, Odile Movement and Bodywork. And I'm starting to produce more videos on YouTube, so you can follow my YouTube channel. And then you can check out my website at odilemovement.com. Have a wonderful day, and I look forward to connecting with you, and stay healthy. Bye.